hello there.
Hi there. What a great song. Uh,
It's our soundtrack.
oh, I
Bum,
see.
do 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 bum. Yeah,
Yes, it's an amazing soundtrack.
I'll try to come up with something new, a new
Oh,
intro, a new
well,
something. I'll
I
try to
wasn't
write
suggesting
myself.
that, but
This is not.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All
I'm
right.
just I'm just too lazy. I'd rather pay somebody to do it for me. You know.
Understand that. Also, you wouldn't want me to do that anyway.
Yeah, that's cool. Because no, I think you're fine with music, but I'm not sure how you would manage writing some. Hmm. Let's not.
We could always find out, but
I'm I'm certain you have a game player skills that are more, you know, to your liking and to my liking, and so we'd rather dive into gaming than music.
I think that's a
So
better use of everyone's time.
yeah. I mean, we could talk about symphonies, but let's talk about
Good.
recent plays instead.
Let's do that. That's a great idea. You want me to get started?
Yeah. Oh, by the
I'm
way, this
ready.
is episode 79. If somebody didn't really, you know,
Yes,
well, hello there. Anyway, yeah,
that
that
works.
was a weird intro.
It
Yeah.
was a better one than we usually have.
Oh, come on, I'm trying my
That's
best.
all
All
right.
right, tell me your game.
Recent plays. All right. So my recent play is a game that just arrived recently, and it is called Darwin's Journey. So
Okay. Oh,
the name. Well, so there's been a lot of games with a Darwin theme lately. There
wait.
was On Origin of Species. There was
Oh
In the Footsteps
yes,
of Darwin, and
I know that one. Hmm.
some of those weren't very good. But I decided I wasn't sure I needed another Darwin game. But the designers of this one are the designers of many of my favorite games,
T games.
including several T games, but not entirely. I mean, we have the guy who did Council of Four, which I really like, as you know, and he also did uh, the Mayan calendar, Tzolk'in, which I guess starts
Luciani.
with the T.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh. And then the other guy I'm not as familiar with, but anyway, um, for this
Mangona, I
game,
think something like that. Hmm.
he did Newton. That's the one that I've played from him. Anyway, so this game is kind of another game in that kind of line. And what you're doing is, look, the theme doesn't make any sense at all. It's called Darwin's Journey, but you're like some Darwin enthusiasts who are going through some diaries and trying to have the same journey. It
It's
really
like
doesn't make any.
Lacrimosa with Mozart. You remember that?
Yeah, it's kind of
It
like
looks the
that.
same. Yeah.
It's kind of like that, except there's no reason for you to be doing it here. Uh,
Okay.
but anyway, really what it is it's a worker placement game, and kind of the hook of the game is that every there are a few actions choices, and they each require a different seal color. And these are seals, not the aquatic mammal, but sort of wax
Oh.
seals that you would stamp.
Oh.
And
That's
so
sad.
like there's a red action, and the basic sort of wimpy version requires one seal. So at the start of the game, you might be able to go there. Everyone starts with one purple seal, which is wild, and then you'll have different ones that you draft from a set of cards.
Hmm.
And so you can do the basic action from the beginning of the game, but there are two sort of advanced versions of that action that someone will have to unlock. There's an action to unlock it, and those all require two or three red seals on the same worker, because the workers kind of live on that board. And so when you place the worker, you look at what seals that worker has, and that will enable you to do different actions. So you're trying to sort of upgrade these workers so you can use the better action spots.
Mm-hmm.
You also have those cards you see there below the board. And when you get a certain combination of seals on one worker, you can play that card and unlock some kind of a bonus. It's usually a one-time bonus, but it's usually a pretty good one. That's going to be an extra action you can do. Then there's this board that you're kind of seeing right there where you're kind of moving around. You've got a ship that's moving, and as you get to different parts of it, you're going to unlock different islands where you can have a worker that's going to move. And, it's sort of one of those games where everything builds on something else, and you'll get bonus actions here and there, and you're trying to work toward those. You've got goals that you can complete, and they're usually pretty easy. Because they don't give you that many points, but they all unlock some other kind of a bonus, and you just kind of do that until the game's over. And it's more one of those games that you'll get excited about because of the way everything works together. But if that isn't enough, well, the board flips over, and on the other side is an expansion that it has 5 islands to explore. And it has, different kinds of bonuses you can get on those islands. And it has a time marker that you're moving along because you're spending time in addition to all the money you're spending. Oh, every time you do anything, it costs a ton of money and there's never enough. It's one of those games. But that's okay. That's sort of part of the game. And really, that's kind of what you're doing. You're placing your workers, you're collecting points, and you're doing various bonuses. It will feel a lot like these designers' other games, like Newton, for example. That's I think both of them worked on that. It doesn't really share much DNA with Solkin, but maybe a lot with Council of Four, or Grand Austria Hotel. Lots of that style of game. It's another one in that family. And if you like that kind of game, you'll like this one. If you don't, you probably won't like this one either. The theme is, I would say, barely there, and didn't make much sense to begin with. But I personally really enjoy these games where I'm kind of working on something and unlocking something else and getting all these bonuses. That's my kind of game. So this game's definitely my kind of game. But individual mileage may vary.
Yeah, you lost me at this. It's like those other games from those designers. You lost me there. It was at the beginning, yeah.
It was toward the end.
Yeah. Oh. No, at the beginning you said something as well, and then all I heard was blah 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 blah. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Like Charlie Brown teacher?
When you describe it, let's say you look at this game, all of this gray and brown, your usual Euro dry heavy Euro colors, and when you describe this thing, I'm kind of lost. It's like it's so mechanical when you describe this game, and I know that it's not the problem of the person describing the game. It's the game itself. Like there are some games that how you can try to describe it as interesting and juicy and whatever it can be, but then it still sounds dry. And this one
this one does. I will definitely admit this game does not sound all that exciting. In fact, even
seals, icons, I don't know.
Even the rules and the company's website, they don't even try it with the theme. I mean, you won't. It's like they just start right describing the mechanisms because that's kind of, everyone knows that's what this game is all about. And if you like that, this will be an absolute hit. And if you are looking for something with a little bit more thematic flair, then you might have to look elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay. So my recent play was I haven't played anything recently, but the ones I played before.
So what video game are you discussing?
No, it's not that. We haven't had the chat for a while, so there's been a few plays I had. But this game, first of all, I don't know how it ended up in my collection. Rolling up my eyes. It's called First Empires.
Oh,
yeah. I no idea.
Did you take that one from me?
I had no idea. No, I'm kidding. Yes, that's the one.
Oh, okay. Because I thought I told you could take it.
Yeah. No. I was trying to come up with the joke. Like, I don't know where it came from, but
I was about to look and see if it was still here, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, the word steal, yes, but I didn't. You gave it to me.
I did.
Because
Okay.
because it's okay, yeah. So, but I was like, I was curious. So this is from the same company that made this Arcana or Arcane. Well, what's the
Res Arcana?
Res Arcana? Yeah. So Res Arcana is also it's a very tight drafting game, which I did not like because drafting in that sense it was just boring. It was too tight. It was too simple. And I don't like race to points. So it's like, okay, this one looks cool. It's different. It's not drafting. It's, kind of area control. Kinda, it's, and these boards and things. So the premise of the game is that each of you has the board. It's a tiny bit different from the other player's board, but basically everything is the same. So, and your board has all those different, let me see here. So they have different levels. So you're trying to get to the territories so you can match them with the dice symbols, so you can go up these tracks. They give you points at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points wins the game. But those tracks will also give you access to, let's say, you can roll more dice, you can re-roll more, you can move more spaces, you can get those mission cards, you can get more people out. And the premise of the game is that you at first you roll like, I don't know, 2 dice or something like that, and then based on the levels of your tracks, you can do a certain amount of rerolls, movements, etc. So you move around the board. Let me see if I can find the board itself. But you will be moving around the board, and you can see the different spaces have the colors and the symbols, so the dice match those things here. And as you move around, if you claim the territory, by the end of your turn, you can match the die symbol with the location that you control with your meeples, so you can go up that track, and upgrade that and get more things. So you put out the cities things. It's very simple. You put out the cities things if somebody gets your city. So how the area control thing works, basically there's kind of like a fighting. If I bring more people in to the region where you are, at least one more, then I take that region over, and you have to, you're not killed, but you have to abandon that region and go to one of your other regions that you still hold. You can never be eliminated from the game. If you hold just one region, you stay there, nobody can attack you. Dice also have swords, so you can use swords as temporary things to kind of increase your power for the turn, and then you can manipulate the dice with the cards. The mission cards themselves are, those simple control that thing, do that thing, nothing really too special, yeah. And let me see if I can find more. You can see here a little bit more of that area control. You can have those meeples and things. So yeah, it's like that. So all you want to do is move up the tracks and try to get hold of the locations that match your dice. And the thing is that sometimes, like, okay, so you can try to upgrade the rerolls, but if you do not get the symbols on those dice in the first place to upgrade your rerolls, to get those symbols, to get to those regions, because you always start at the same. If you take the certain planchette, you start on that particular spot. It's not like each game you can change the spot where you start or draft or whatever. It's very linear in that side. It's dice luck heavy in a sense. Yeah, you can kind of manipulate. They kind of give you a choice and kind of not. If you roll badly, you roll badly. If you roll badly, you roll badly. If you don't get the symbols you need, you don't get the symbols you need. That's it. okay, you can discard your mission cards, but then you are abandoning quite a few points. You will not really win. So and it's and you go back and forth on those locations. I take over this region, now you take over this region, no, I take it back. The progression is very linear, and the tracks you go up on, the two most important tracks are get more dice and get more people. If you're unlucky with the dice and you cannot get more people, you're stuck. You're falling behind, because other people they can mitigate the dice luck by spreading the people out. But if you don't have enough people, how can you defend certain regions? I like the idea of placing the cities down. If you go up the track, certain spots will tell you to put out one of the cities, and you don't know what. This is like the survive, escape from Atlantis kind of a thing, where when you put the meeples out, here you put the cities out, you don't know what numbers they are. They're like 3, 2, or 1 points. And when you put out the city, you don't know what city you put out yourself. And if somebody grabs it, they also do not know what it is until at the end of the game you reveal all of those. And if you are lucky, you got all 3s, from other players. So, yeah, there's a certain amount of luck involved. It's very simple. It's very linear in a sense. And I found it fine. Okay. But, 1-2 plays and I'm done. This is the game that's not. I mean, it's very easy to learn. It's family weight. It's not as aggressive. Like, okay, you're taking over others' territories, but then you can come back there. Nobody's killed. You just abandon this territory, go other way, or go grab it back. It's back and forth. It's not an aggressive game in a sense. So yeah, play it with the family.
Yeah. I thought the game was okay. I think many people, at least people that I play games with, who liked Res Arcana, were really looking forward to this as kind of a new implementation of kind of what Res Arcana did, which was to do a lot with very little. And this was very much a sidestep for this company, because this company doesn't make very many games. And so, I think people, I don't know who this game is for, right? I mean, the people who love Res Arcana are going to be disappointed by this one. I was. But I don't know that the game itself looks like it's, family game night from the box. And so I just don't know that this game really has a home. And I thought it was okay, but it kind of, all of the different characters, sort of colors, felt very much the same. It was some slight spin on the same thing that everyone was doing.
Yeah, you get 7 people on that level of track. I get 7 people on that level of track. It's eventually the same, almost the same. You can get up to 9 people. I can get up to 8 people, but whatever.
Perhaps too balanced, and I think that was maybe not what I was looking for in a game. So I ended up passing on it, or passing it on to you.
Yeah, so far, 2 of the games, Res Arcana I didn't like. First Empires, I was okay with. Res Arcana I didn't like even more, but due to my own, tastes of,
sure.
Like, I hate Race to the Points. Hate. Okay. Anyway,
Res Arcana was one I really came around on. Actually, after I gave it away and then I went and bought it again. We might do a list about that sometime.
If you like side drafting and Race to the Points, if you're okay with that, yes. I'm not okay with that. I'd rather, give me time, give me certain rounds to build things up, and then, let's compare who built the greatest thing. But Race to the Point sometimes can be unbalanced in a sense that if you're a little bit unlucky, if somebody moves forward too fast, you feel unmotivated. You feel not motivated enough to go catch up to them. If you have quite a few points, like sometimes it all depends on the luck. and that's where race to the points is a weak mechanism for me.
Yeah.
If the luck is against you.
Yeah, and I'm not
Race
sure
is lost.
Resurrecana necessarily has that problem, but I have some issues with it with that particular mechanism as well. But we'll save that one for another list.
Ooh. Top 5 mechanisms we hate. Ooh, Episode 80 might be the one. Because
we'll have to see.
all right. Let's go to crowdfunding.
How ideas are born. All right.
Yeah. So the crowdfunding is of course about crowdfunding, but I think there is a third platform. I haven't looked at that. I mean, there's GameFound, there's Kickstarter, and then now there's the Backer Kit or something.
So the Backer Kit, which is mostly a pledge manager platform. I mean, they've launched a few games, but I don't know that they're as splashy. I think most people think, based on the name, of it more as a post-campaign pledge manager.
Yeah, true. So what's your platform for today?
Oh, I'm on regular old Kickstarter, and the game I'm talking about is not small, but it's from a company I've enjoyed some things that they've produced, and that is the game is Fractured Skies.
Oh, not Zombicide?
Well, I mean, okay, look, I'll mention Zombicide. Every time a new Zombicide comes out, I say I'm not going to buy it. And then there ends up being something.
Wait.
I'm out the door and down the street, and then somebody grabs me. Oh, no, that's not the same. That's not the right game.
How's it spelled?
Well, let me find it here.
It's Fractured Sky, not Skies.
Yes.
Sky. Yeah, Sky. Okay. Got it.
That was not the right one. There we go. And this is by the game IV Studios.
Ooh.
And IV Studios did.
That looks cool.
Yes, it does. They've done games that I've enjoyed. They did Mythic Mischief. They've done Moonrakers,
and Veiled Fate.
And Veiled Fate, which I have not played. That's their third game. But they don't do a lot of games, and instead they go in really deep and heavy on just a few. I don't think they even do one every year. So it looks like this one. I mean, well, I've bought things from them, and so I've been on their mailing list for a little while and keep hearing about this game. So when it finally came out, I was ready for it. It looks like you've got kind of 5 rounds, and you're kind of placing. You're trying to figure out where these star pieces are, and you're placing your workers, your armies out to then compete for them. But the armies are bid in secret, and you have some that are that could be a bluff, and some that are definitely not, and lots of things like that. It looks like it'll be very well produced. All of their games are always very well produced, and I don't know what a lenticular card is. It's that kind of card. Okay, now I know what it is. It's one of those ones that moves around when you look at it at different angles. Anyway, it looks like this is going to be a well-produced game. It looks like it will be very interactive and probably just a lot of fun and the kind of game I enjoy. So I was on board, and there's a big octopus on the cover, and I like the big octopus on the cover. And
you do.
It just looks like a very fun game if you get the right group of people together.
Does the big octopus remind you of this? Was the game called Consectical? Was the Consectical? Yeah.
No, I mean, maybe, I guess. I wasn't thinking of Consectical. That game's not very good. That one's more of a novelty.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I see. This is beautiful. I'm not sure about the mechanisms, if I would like them. I haven't tried Moonrakers or any of these. I would try them. It looks cool. Let me see what's
one that I gave another shot to and have been enjoying.
So it's $50 for just a usual thing. What's the EU zone? You have 20 and 28. I'm probably zone 2, so it's $28 more. So it's half the price more for shipping. Of course, Estonia is always in that zone. It's very expensive shipping.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd rather try to get 1 million, for example, for this pledge. I'd rather try, companies need to come up with strategies to decrease the shipping or put the cost on themselves, but try to get more money pledged.
Well, I mean, it's not too terrible. That's a good sum of money. I wouldn't.
$28 is too much for just one box. I mean, it can be much cheaper.
Perhaps.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I send the box, if I get something from the shop, and or the person or on Etsy and info on that, I mean, they could get it for 15 euros. Okay, it's, let's say, about $18 from Germany or something like that. Come on, 28 is not, too much. Anyway, mine is called Weird Wood Manor.
I looked at that one too
correctly. So I'm always up for some co-op games, and good looking games. I like the cover. I always like the mansions, things. It's this kind of a fairy tale artwork, a little bit of that animated movie style. So this one is cooperative game where it looks like a little bit like the Loop, where you have the different locations and you kind of jump through locations and things rotate and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly how it works. It's probably you go through the rooms, you try to solve things and and stuff, and you have to rotate the things so you can access some rooms and whatnot. There's acrylic stands. I like acrylic stands. They are, to be honest, much more functional than gray sculpted miniatures, which usually, when you there is a trend to do the miniature and then do the picture of that character, but the picture of the character and the miniature do not correlate. They are not the same. So the let's say the picture of the character has the sword in it, and then the miniature is ducking. Is this the same? Can you it's so these acrylic stands are really cool. I like that. And just go through it yourself. It's not it's rather expensive. It's okay. It's 60. Oh, it's Canadian. Sorry. Then it's fine.
So a little bit less.
So approximately $60, which is not too much. But it's like a year from now if no delays happen. But they do happen usually. So it's
what?
if you are okay with waiting a year, at least a year, if not more, then go back it, because it looks really cool.
It does. The rotating discs look good as long as they fit snugly. There was a game recently that came where there was a disc that had to fit around it and didn't fit snugly. It kind of sat loose, and that was the Steam Up game, and that was really an annoyance for me. So I'm hoping that these are nicely made and the right size.
Yeah, and if you are from Alaska or Hawaii, do not buy this game from Kickstarter, because you're going to pay the same as the price of the game. $52. Come on. 36 US dollars for my for Zone 2. It's just Estonian. Oh, Estonia is now in Zone 1. I mean, come on.
No,
How do they?
It's only $20 then.
So Estonia roams around the zones. Okay, we're a roaming country. That's cool. Okay, 17 is fine. 36 is too much. Okay, but anyway, okay, 17 I can manage. That's good.
All right, so we'll see that you're backing it in just a few minutes.
Think about it. And then, I realized I do not want to back the games anymore. If it's let's say a new edition of Cyclades comes up, I must buy it because I get all the stuff from there. It's like one of my favorite games. But if this game it's a new game. I don't know how it's played. I'm not sure of it. It might be really good. It might not fit my taste. I'm not backing such games on the Kickstarter anymore. I'd rather wait for the retail edition. And, I'm fine with the retail edition. Nowadays, the game production is so usually high level, a high standard production. And sometimes I like wooden meeples and wooden tokens and things much more than the plastic. So I'm like, okay, I will be fine with buying a retail copy when it comes out. And if it's any good, I'll be sure that it's good. I'll get some reviews. I'll get to watch some reviews, etc. So I'm backing off of Kickstarter, except the games that I know I love, like some definitive edition for some game that I love. So.
All right. There we go.
And we're done with crowdfunding. Let's get to buy, try, goodbye. So yeah. So I think it's my turn. Yeah. To show you 3 games.
I didn't prepare any.
That's good. I did. So these 3 games, to be honest, I picked them up because you played a ton of games. When I look at your list, I'm like, oh, you played this one. Oh, you played this one. Oh, you played this one. Like, I should. What should I pick? To like everything I pick, you've already played. So, but I found 3 games from, I scrapped the bottom of the barrel. No, they're fine games. They're fine games, but they are older games, and if you might have played one of them, but then you didn't rate it. And if you didn't, shame on you.
I do my best, as long as it's been played since I started recording. Oops,
the first game is a game that we got. I think we got it as a review copy many years ago in Essen, Essen Spiel, from a company that I even don't remember. Chromosome is the game's name. Yeah, it's 2016. Cube Factory of Ideas. Yeah, I think it was Polish designer. You can see the rating is not the best, but when we played the game, when we reviewed the game, we have a review up. We found it more interesting than the people saying it is. But the whole premise, I mean, like sometimes when it's a low rating, but you play it, you might find it fun enough. So now in Chromosome, I like the idea a lot. So you are playing some kind of a virus or bacteria or something like that, and you are in this laboratory, and each player has their own asymmetric chromosome or whatever bacteria, and you are fighting for the territory. And you are collecting the resource in order to upgrade yourself, to evolve, to mutate. And when you mutate, you get some special abilities and such, and you become stronger, etc. You're trying to get enough control that you are, like, there's more of you than any other player or something like that. There's a certain amount that you need to get to this area control, then you win the game. So it's like there's no certain rounds, as I remember, but it's more of a, once you get to that spot. So if you play a 3 or 4 player game, you're constantly kind of finding each other, but you're trying to manage your resources, manage your mutations, so you can become stronger and stronger. Because if you do not mutate enough, you won't be able to get you won't be able to fight other players. So I like the whole idea of, instead of we're curing the virus, you are the virus. You are, but it's not like you are trying to. You're trying to survive in this environment. It's not like you're trying to conquer the world, etc. So it's the reverse idea of pandemic, but in a sense, not mechanically, but in a way that you're just trying to survive. You're just good old virus. You want to live. So this is Chromosome, a great virus game. Now,
All right.
the second game is called Crisis. So, another 2016 game that I played rather recently, last year. And this is a worker placement game, but it's an economic worker placement game. So in this game, you have this central economy going on, and there is a goal that you need to reach, and the goal is always going high and higher and higher and higher. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to go above this goal that you get in order for the economy not to collapse. All the players who are below the goal will contribute to collapse of the economy, and if it collapses, everybody loses. It's a little bit of that semi-co-op, but the game itself is competitive. The worker placement, you place your workers out, you get the resources, you get the buildings, the buildings provide you with extra resources, you get the temporary workers. So the temporary workers are cool because you need the temporary workers, not the meeples themselves, but the workers, so you can, activate the buildings with the same symbols, and you can, activate them partially or fully based on the workers that you got. You can exchange resources for the money. There's like a stock market game thing, or you can fulfill the contracts, your usual worker placement kind of resource management stuff. But the whole idea is for everyone to manage economy enough to get enough money for every company, for every player. So when you fall behind, you drag everybody behind. And you can see the levels. If you're on a green level, that's fine. If you're on a yellow, that's okay. If you're on a red, if somebody's like 15 places behind from the milestone, you're done. So and everybody loses. So, you might not like the idea of this kind of a, semi-co-op idea, but I like it because you're not only trying to win yourself, but stay afloat, stay above the water. And the other cool part is that you can never hoard the resources. You have certain amount of resources that you can get. Like, let's say you have a storage. You can have 6 crystals. You can have 6 of the energy. You can have 6 of that. You have to manage. It's very tightly managed and quite well produced game. Very dark in the artwork department. Crisis.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
Now, the third game is very different from those two, and it's called Fool's Fortune, or A Fool's Fortune.
Okay.
And this is a 2-player game. This is basically it's they tell it's a 2 to 3 players game, but you can play 3-player. But I would say it's a 2-player game. So Fool's Fortune is a set collection game. The whole central mechanism is set collection. What you're trying to do, you have the cards which are either the location or the color, let's say, or the symbol. You want to do same colors, different symbols, or you want to do different colors but same symbol, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. And as usual, set collection, colors or symbols. So you draft card. Basically, you get the cards from the pile. Then you have to manage them. You can put out the set starting from 3 cards, or you can put out a set of 2 cards with the character cards. The character cards are the ones that will give you some abilities and will also give you the opportunity to fetch cards from the center. And the cards that go to the center are the ones that you have not used during your turn. You have to pay 1 card to the center. But if you pay that card to the center, another player will be able to fetch it with their character. What you're trying to do, you have to end up with 3 closed sets, which is like 5 cards, either the color or the symbols. You can see what the other player is taking, so you can manage, like, let's say, you can see that they are hoarding all of these, like, I'm probably not gonna get that, so I'm not gonna try to shoot for that particular set. And you're trying to manipulate your own things. You can disassemble your sets and put them aside. You can you can do all sorts of things on your player board. And I like the idea of managing your sets, going back and forth, and being very smart about what cards are left in your hand, or if you have only one card left in your hand and you are mismanaging it, and you're basically giving away a really good card that your other player needs to win. So I like this idea of going back and forth. So this is Fool's Fortune, a very old, 2012. It's at least 10 years old, 11 years old. Let's say not drafting, set collection game.
Sure.
But weird in a sense. If you play it for the first time, if you read the rules, it sounds weird because of all the rules. But this is one of the unique set collection games that I played.
Okay. Well, there we go. 3 games I have not played, so no shame on me. I did not rate them because I have never played or heard of some of them.
They're very obscure. Yeah, they're obscure.
So I'll say, I think the game that I would say goodbye to is probably the Polish chromosome game. That, as you were describing it, it might be interesting, but it sounds a lot like that pandemic virus version, which I didn't like, or the Plague Inc. game, which I didn't like. So, I'm not sure that it sounds like it's the right one for me. I would probably try the Fool's Fortune. It looked like it would be very interesting. It looks like it's a bit old and maybe hard to find. And then Crisis is actually one I have thought about buying on a few occasions. For some reason, it's just, it has very limited availability. I must have been a small print run or something. And so one time I was looking at it and it was very expensive.
It's a Finnish game.
Okay. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll wait for another time. But it's one that I have looked at several times and just never actually gotten around to buying, trying, or doing anything else with.
You can see it's on Noble Knights BGG store. You can buy it. You can buy it from the market. So there's a lot of copies of that. You can see somebody's. You can see somebody's doing the deluxe edition second printing for $32 only US.
Okay, that's not too bad. It was a lot more of the time when I was looking at it, so maybe it's come down because it's not the hot new toy anymore.
Yeah, it's quite.
It looks like it hasn't
been
an interesting, unique game for a while. All right. Well,
okay, so there you have it. So goodbye to Chromosome. Let's try Fool's Fortune, and definitely buy Crisis.
Definitely, that sounds perfect. All right.
Let's get to the topic of the day, which is top 5 expansions that changed our mind. Or minds. Right. I put our mind, but, whatever. So, yeah. So, for me, look, when I looked at the games that I played, I realized that you could approach this list differently. So, for example, if you approach it the way that you didn't really like the game, and then the expansion changed your mind about the game, or you were like, for me, it's the second thing where if I don't like the game, I will not try it with the expansion anyway. So I don't have any of the instances. But for me, I was like, oh, the game is cool. But the expansion changed the game and then skyrocketed the game to the top of my list. It's changed the rating of the game, which I usually do not do. If I place the rating on the game when I play it first few times, then usually after the expansions I do not change the rating. But with some of these, they are on the top of my list, or they change it, so I will not play without those expansions, etc. So something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I looked at games that I enjoy now, And then I thought, well, okay, was there a point where some expansion came out that just really made me come around on this game or think differently of it? I mean, I don't know that any of these made me dislike the game, because I could always just not play with that expansion.
Yeah,
But
but sometimes
yeah,
you have such games. For example, so there could be a game like, for example, it's on your shelf, you haven't played it for a while. Now, let's say 5 years later, an expansion comes out, and then you're like, ooh, I'm gonna pull this game out. You're like, ooh, this game with the expansion is really cool. Like, some expansions bring the games back to the table.
they do.
All right, let's get to numero 5.
All right. All right. My number 5 is kind of a little bit older. It's been a while since this game has been the new hotness. This was a game that, when it came out, everyone was really excited because it was an intro to gaming for role players, and that was Lords of Waterdeep. And the base game of Lords of
Okay.
Waterdeep was fine; it was enjoyable. But when the Scoundrels of Skullport expansion came out, that blew the game up for me. This one, I mean, because I had enjoyed the game before, but this expansion added so much more to sort of play with and get back in. It expanded the number of the missions you were doing. It gave you different buildings and things, but mostly what it did was this corruptionness that you would put out
Yes.
there. And it was an extra resource that you could get, and then you'd lose a bunch of points for it at the end. But only if you were the only person with a lot of it. If everyone kind of took it evenly, then everybody would be losing them. But you could sort of manipulate this track, and it just became something it brought the game straight back to me. And
Yeah.
it was really one of those expansions I wouldn't play the game without, and really made me think a lot more highly of the game.
So I think this. So I was thinking about that one. I didn't put it on my list because only 5 games, But yeah, that's the one that I think, I don't remember if I played the base game first and then with the expansion. I think I did. Yeah, the base game first, but it was so long time ago. So now with this game, I think it didn't really start the trend, but so after this game, after this expansion, when people talk about, sometimes when they criticize games, they say like, oh, this game needs some kind of corruption to those resources, to those spots, so you can balance it out. So I think this trend kind of started from the Scoundrels of Skullport, where this really easygoing corruption mechanism was introduced. I think it wasn't really, like nowadays you have it in every game. Like if you have this kind of a strong spots, but you have corruption, it's it's obvious, you must put it in. But at that time, I think it started that trend of corruption.
Yeah. I might say that Cleopatra and the Society of Architects really started the trend, which was
I haven't played that one.
Okay.
But maybe, I mean, this Lords of Waterdeep, let's say Pandemic wasn't the first cooperative game, but it popularized co-op games. So Scoundrels of Skullport, because it was D&D based theme, etc. I think it popularized worker placement again, and etc. So I don't know. This game was a trend. Yeah, that's a good choice.
Was. And definitely an expansion that really kind of brought me back around on it, because I found the sort of basic game to be a little samey very quickly.
I mean, the corruption part of this expansion is a wharf. The other things are, okay, more stuff. Yeah. So my number 5 is, so for the game that when I played it for the first time, I loved it. So it was great. But at that time, when we played, it was a long time ago. We haven't played many games so far. But then, as we played more games, it wasn't like this game was the best game of all time. Now, when I got the expansion for that game, this game skyrocketed to my number one game of all time for many, many years. And that's Cyclades Hades expansion. And everybody says Titans sucks. I'm kidding. No, Titans is fine. Titans changes the game. So if you want to play an aggressive dudes on the map game, go for Titans, or just buy Kemet and play Kemet. If you want a Cyclades, the original experience, the cool experience of Cyclades, forget about Titans, because nah. And the people who say the Titans is better, they have not really played with Hades expansion. They have skipped Hades expansion. I'm like, why? You have to get the Hades expansion. So now, Cyclades, I said, I really liked it. Yeah? But Hades expansion changed the way I looked at the game. So now, what it adds some more cards, some more monsters. It adds heroes. So now that the heroes will also be in this new Cyclades Definitive Edition. That will be reworked a little bit, but the heroes are the ones that you could hire, and you could kind of sacrifice to build metropolises. So there was. It's hard to do on those heroes, but like they are either troops that give you more strength to fight or to defend, or like. They are different from monsters, so some things that work on monsters do not work on heroes, etc. And they don't cancel each other, like two monsters in the same spot cancel each other, two heroes in the same spot can exist, and things. So you have to pay them this hiring fee every turn to keep them. So this idea of, instead of like monsters, they come to you and next turn you lose them, you lose control of them. So with heroes, you could get them to stay if you pay money, but money is a tight resource. So this is a cool idea. Now, what they did with the monsters, they brought in this priestesses cards that when you sacrifice the card, you can keep the monster for another turn. Or you can basically sacrifice priestess to keep the hero and not pay them. You know, it's instead of paying. But the thing is that with the monsters, you can now keep monsters. Other things, it's a modular expansion. There are magical items, so there's a small pile of cards which with cool abilities. They could change, like for example, that would be a decisive thing in the battle sometimes, some of those cards when you get them. There is a theater building. The theater building is the one that basically mimics one of the four buildings. It doesn't give you the power of that building, but it counts as one of the four for the set to build a metropolis. Cool. So it expands on the whole idea of building metropolis in different ways, on keeping the monsters for longer, getting the heroes and these gods. So the second to last, so the last god is always Apollo, where you basically skip your turn, you get money. Second to last god, if you beat on that, so you will be like, because somebody who bids on a higher god, they will go first, but you go basically last. But you get this additional supporting god and their ability, and they have cool things going on. So, yeah. And the Hades expansion, Hades as a god, which is like temporary army. You bring upon the temporary army so you can fight. That's fine. I didn't really play with that. And Necropolis, where the money goes and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, almost all the elements I would not play without, because they expand the game in the best way possible. Cyclades Hades, my number 5.
All right. I happen to enjoy that expansion, so there we go.
All right, let's get to number 4.
Let's go.
Oops, sorry.
Oh. I start to speak about it, and the number 4 shows up. All right. So my next expansion is another one. Now, I suspect you have not played or even thought about this expansion ever in your life. The expansion is an expansion called Furor Sanguinis, which was an expansion for claustrophobia.
No.
If you can't spell it, it's Furor.
No, I basically searched for the base game and then.
Okay, and found it. Yeah. So, Claustrophobia is a game that I have a mixed relationship with. There are times when I think it is the greatest game of all time, other than Summoner Wars, and there are times when I put it away and am done with it forever. Because it is a very unbalanced and one sided experience. It can be, if you don't know, if both players aren't evenly matched. So Furor Sanguinis, though, so in Claustrophobia, it's one side is some monsters, and one side is some not heroes, but people that are in a dungeon trying to escape or accomplish something. They came out with this great big version, the 1643 or whatever it is, some year, which
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately is missing this expansion, and that was very disappointing for me. Furor Sanguinis adds a big monster. And basically, you can take it, it can be a two-player game with one side fighting against this big monster, and you're chopping away at the various body parts of this giant monster, kind of like Maul Peak or what was the other one? Skull Hollow, that type of a style, except this was before even those. Or you can even play two, both of the sort of regular players are working together now and fighting this big monster. And it really opened the game up and it made it into a very different experience. But it was an experience that I often felt was a little bit more straightforward, even though it was more complicated, but it was more straightforward to teach and explain the game than
Mm-hmm.
sort of the kind of back and forth that happens in base claustrophobia. Because if you don't pick the right scenario for the base game, it'll feel very wildly balanced to one side or the other, unbalanced to one side or another. But Furor Sanguine has really fixed that in a very interesting way. And I liked sort of having this big monster that kind of had special abilities, and then they were attacked and destroyed. Okay, the models aren't amazing, and those are actually all base game models.
Mm.
But
I
other,
mean, like it's always really hard to differentiate the expansion.
it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Furor Sanguinis was just really an expansion that made me excited about claustrophobia again and pulled it back off my shelf. I
Okay.
think I might even have bought it a second time just for Furor Sanguinis. And there you go.
How much dust was on the game box when you pulled it out?
A little bit, because claustrophobia is one that doesn't get played that much. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and I think I might. I really was sad that this wasn't in their big box version that came out a couple of years ago.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No idea about the game. So my number 4 is this is the game that when I played it, I really loved it, but the expansion. So yeah, I think it was like I rated the game an 8 or 7.5 or 8, something like that when I played the game. Really liked it. Now when I got the expansion, I was like, it's a 10. I love it now, and only for one particular module. So I'm talking about Stockpile,
Ah,
and it's called Continuing Corruption. So now I'm okay. Like I like the tax cards and what they are the commodities, etc. But the thing that changes the game, and there are more of the people, so basically more a little bit more symmetry. That's also cool. But the thing that changes the game, 6 custom dice. Now, instead of you having basically the same predictable forecast kind of a thing, now you have those cards that match the dice. So each time the forecast can be vastly different. It can have, like, there can be, if you're lucky or unlucky enough, it can be a lot of boosting, a lot of prices going up or a lot of prices crashing, etc. It can go from the age to the age. It can be very balanced. So the dice, they change the gameplay. So I mean, like, they don't change the gameplay, but they change the fun. The core fun is predicting. The core fun is a forecast. It's like, will the price go up or down? Why are they selling the stock? The whole premise of the game is not about, getting the cards. It's about predicting. It's about gambling, a little bit of gambling. So the dice are amazing. I will never play without the dice. I will refuse. If you tell me that you don't have continuing corruption, I will remove you from my friends list. I mean, this is like the dice should have been in the base box from the start. It boggles my mind how they didn't put it in the first place there.
I think it hadn't been developed yet.
They should have developed the game further.
I think they made a fantastic base game and then decided to add an expansion for people who wanted more.
Yeah, I mean, like, expansion could have been the bonds and more people and the commodities, but the dice seems to. I mean, I think the dice was. I mean, it seems like the dice was the idea, but they just didn't want to put it in to not, increase the cost of the game to produce, because custom dice are gonna, spike up the game's price. All right, continuing corruptions. If you play without it, you're not my friend.
Well, okay. I mean, I can still play without it, but I do enjoy these games.
Oh, could you?
All right, see you later. See you again, never.
Bye. And here's the outro,
right.
number 3. Oh, we're back.
I'm still here. All right. So my number 3 is an expansion that takes a game, well, like most of these, really to a very new level. This expansion has one of the most unfortunate expansion names of any expansion ever, and I believe it was called...
Style is the goal?
No. Well, this one's not that bad, but this, in fact, they changed the name to just, I think, expansion for that one.
Yeah,
This is, I think it's called Russian Railroads, German Railroads.
Yes. Yeah, they should have just made it a standalone kind of a thing, just German railroads.
Russian railroads. I don't remember which one comes first, but the expansion is commonly known as German Railroads, and
there's American railroads as well. Yeah,
and there's also Asian, but it only comes in the Ultimate Railroads box. But this was the first of the expansions, so nobody really knew that that's what we were doing, I guess. So it's called German Railroads, Russian Railroad. I don't know. Anyway, so what this game does is so Russian Railroads is a game about nothing except getting points. And this game does not change that at all. It's still about nothing but getting points. What it does do is you now have custom tracks that you're moving up. In Russian Railroads, you're moving up, everyone kind of moving up the same track, and you could try different things and improve your choices, but all the tracks were at their base level the same. German Railroads, as you advance, you're going to be able to select these unique tiles that are going to go on your board so that only you have access to a particular type of railroad. They also added income tokens, which you could get and use and flip over and get income once every round. They added a coal mechanism that I think was kind of a dud. It felt like a little bit thrown in, but you could produce coal and then use it to boost different things. But really, it was these income tracks and these custom boards, which they did not do in American railroads, and I think they kind of went back to in Asian railroads. But anyway, this game just really changed everything up, this expansion. I won't say that I'll only play with German railroads, but it's definitely the one that I would go to first if I were pulling out Russian railroads, dusting it off. Look, I still like the base game, and it's probably the best way to learn, but this one really just opened everything up in such a new and interesting way. And every time I play the game without it, I'm like, oh, well, next time let's go back to Germany, because I think it's really the best way to experience the game.
Yeah, I've not played. I've only played the base game. I think I had American Railroads, but eventually didn't play it. It's a really good game. I like it. Yeah, sure.
All right.
My number 3 is for a deck building and role selection game. So, what, like, I really enjoyed the game, but what infuriated me is that some of the components were there for the purpose of just, placeholders, something like that, and they were not really functional, especially the ships. So now, Eminent Domain got the expansion. So there are several expansions, I had several. So I could put all of the expansion on the list because they changed the game. They're all kind of they bring elements to the game. If you put them all together, it's great. But Escalation, it brought the new use to the ships themselves. So at first, when you had the ships, now you can see you could improve your fleet and they give you some stuff, etc. But first, when you had the ships, you had in the base game, you had the ships of different sizes. It didn't matter. Like,
That's true.
I'm like, why do they have large ships and small ships? Like, it's the same. You just mark the things down with those and nothing changes. So now they brought these extra stuff and some other extra cards and things. So but the ships was something that changed the game because now there was purpose for the ships. And I really like Eminent Domain because it's a deck building game where you are trying to get the exact roll card so you can boost, and there's that follow action and the leader action thing going on. I think like in Terraforming Mars kind of a thing. Also, Ares Expedition. I mean, so I like this whole idea of leader, follower, and deck building and role selection, etc. So yeah, but I mean, this, let's say, Escalation. But honestly, many of those other expansions, Oblivion, Exotica, I think I didn't have Oblivion because it's really hard to get things for this game. At some point, it was impossible. But I had Escalation and I had Exotica, where there's resources become more valuable, etc. So you could put both of those there. But Escalation, you need to get to make the ships worth something. Otherwise, they're worthless piece of...
Yeah, I remember that being kind of weird that they were useless.
Yeah, so Eminent Domain really changed the gameplay.
Very well. I don't have a lot of thought. I don't even remember Eminent Domain. Maybe I'll have to pull it out again.
I was thinking about buying it and then buying it back. But I want to buy it back with the expansions. I don't want just the base game. But as you can see, there is no TMG anymore, and nobody has picked up the game yet. So maybe at some point they will pick up the game, and somebody will pick up the game and do the definitive edition or something like that, the big box edition with all the expansions. I would love that, but it's really hard to get. I mean, like, some of the expansions are impossible to get, or maybe if you pay $300 or something like that for the expansion.
Well, you can always get them that way.
I don't know. I tried to search. So I was like, okay, I will buying just the base game is not worth it. So I have to get all of the expansions. But it was like I could not get them. So
charge $28 to ship to Estonia. So
yeah, well, it was a good game. Anyway, let's get to number 2.
All right, number 2. All right, my number 2 might be an odd one. I don't even know how. Look, this is a game that I enjoyed before. I found the game to be fine, but this expansion made me really enjoy the game. The expansion is called The Forgotten Folk, and it is an expansion to the game Caverna. So Caverna is a Euro worker placement game. It basically is the same general game as Agricola, which is a farming game, and you're sort of growing your family, getting more and more workers, building buildings that do different things and score different ways. But every character, every player was always exactly the same, and the setup of buildings was exactly the same each time, and it needed desperately needed some variety. And so that is where this game comes in. And in this Forgotten Folk, there's also another one that's like Furious something or other. I don't know. Frantic Friends, which is the same kind of thing, but not compatible, oddly enough. But what you're going to get is each character has a different fantasy race that is given to you at the start of the game. It comes sometimes with special rules, or always with special rules, sometimes with different actions only you can perform. It comes with special buildings only you can build. And so by taking these different characters, you're going to have a different sort of goal, a different focus, and different things to do so that you feel like you're not just doing the same thing as everyone else every round. It really made the game something I want to play. Before that, I had largely cooled on Caverna just because I thought it was an inferior version of Agricola, because Agricola had all that different stuff from the beginning. You had that little card draft you did, and you got your own special buildings and stuff. And Caverna was all everything on the table, everyone's the same. And this Forgotten Folk kind of breathed new life into Caverna and made it something I really enjoy.
Okay, yeah, I played the base game Caverna. It's a huge game. I appreciated the design, but didn't like the game. Because I mean, like, come on, complexity for the sake of complexity, and dry and farming for the sake of dry and farming. It's my opinion. I
Very well, and I guess you've not played this expansion.
No. All right,
you don't
my number
think
two.
Adding an ogre would help the game for you?
No. My number two is expansion for the game that really needed that expansion, like really, really needed. And I'm talking about the Valhalla expansion, though it can be both because I bought it on Kickstarter. But Champions of Midgard, and let's go with Valhalla first, and then the Dark Mountains can be the second. But what basically Champions of Midgard was, when I played for the first time, I was like, okay, it's fine, I like it, But I was like, come on, you have to. So if you're unlucky with the dice, when you fight, when you go over the seas, it's like you have to lose some of your warriors to the thunderstorm, whatever, and then you're gonna try to fight, and then you roll badly, and then you lose. I'm like, okay, I went for nothing. Like, that's it. It's just luck of the dice. Now the Valhalla expansion brings up this Valhalla board and some other things, some dice, and the other expansion, the Mountains expansion, adds more dice as well, which I really like. I like more dice, more different warriors. Dice are warriors. So, but in this worker placement game, now if you fight and your warriors die, you get the tokens instead, but you can use those tokens on that Valhalla board to get some cool powers, etc. So they didn't die in vain. Now it's more thematic. They went to Valhalla, now they are heroes of Valhalla. Boom. I like this whole idea. I would never play it without the expansion, because without the expansion, now when by the way, I played without the expansion once after playing Valhalla. For some reason, I don't know. It was very late. I think it was one of the board game camps, and I just wanted to play something. We played, and I was like, oh, okay, wow, this game is bad. Like without now once I tried chocolate ice cream, vanilla wasn't that good. Yeah. So yeah.
I thought about putting this one on my list, but I assumed you would, and so I decided not to, so that we get some different games. But I definitely agree with this. This is a great expansion that really opens up the game in a lot of different ways and makes it something. Look, I like base Champions of Midgard, but this kind of solves almost a problem that I guess everyone knew about, but no one was talking about, or maybe not. I don't know. But it just really opens things up and it makes it better. So
yeah, but if you people think about getting Valhalla, get both, get the Mountains as well. Just more dice, more locations. It's both are kind of a great addition. But if you cannot get the second one, get Valhalla first. I mean, like, this is if you can only get the one. All right, let's get to number one.
Let's go. All right. So I'm sure you probably won't be able to guess this. This
All
is
of the Summoner Wars expansions?
No. All right. Look, I thought about doing that, but I decided not to. But this is, I'll say you're close. This expansion is something that came into my life recently and brought a game back from the dead.
Ashes?
It is an expansion to Ashes. This is an expansion called Red Rains. And I don't know if you've had a lot of experience with or even heard about Red Rains. Red Rains Corpse of Vyros is going to be if you're.
Is it Ashes Reborn?
It's going to be for Ashes Reborn, which is basically.
There's so many things.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll you talk about.
Hold on, now I want to make sure you can find it. I think it's just called Red Rains. Yeah,
Red Rains, the Frostwild Scourge.
The Frostwind Scourge, that one's not out yet. It's Corpse of Vyros is the one that I've actually played. But, I mean, you could look at the Frostwind Scourge. There's just not going to be a whole lot of information for it. But anyway, so what this does is it makes... So Ashes is a game where you would, play against a person, and it was one of those sort of, I play my cards and try and take your character's health down to zero. Whoever does that the fastest and the best wins. Corpse of Vyros... Red Rains changes the game 100%, and it makes it into a solo game where you can take any of your characters, any of your Phoenixborn from the base set, and go up against this monster. And it's a very competitive, tight experience. The monster character has varying difficulty levels. Once the Frostwind Scourge comes out, you can mix and match those sets too. But it made Ashes something. So look, nobody ever wanted to play Ashes with me. That's why it was dead. Because there's so much kind of knowledge burden that goes with that game, right? You have to know what everything does and understand the game really well in order to play it with somebody who already knows it, or you're just going to, lose for a few minutes and then it's over. And the Corpse of Vyros, this Red Rains system, made it a game that I can get out and play. When this came, everything else kind of went to the side for a little while, and I pulled out all of the old Phoenixborn, all of the old characters and old decks, got them out and got in and got playing. It is incredibly well designed and well balanced, and it's always a challenge, no matter which of the characters you use. I usually come down to winning or losing within 1 or 2 turns of each other. So, I mean, I just really found this Red Rains, it brought the game back, and it made it something that I enjoy. Now, you can play it 2-player, and I'd love to try that sometime. But I probably would play regular Ashes if I had somebody over who wanted to play Ashes. I think I would say, let's just play it. But by making it a viable and well-designed solo game, it flipped it on its head and made it amazing.
Okay, fine. Yeah. I played Ashes with you.
Yeah, and I
very
knew
long
the game
time
a lot
ago.
better. And so you lost for a few minutes and then it was over. You had sort of the Ashes experience.
Yeah, I mean it's all about how many times you played and skills, so there's no balance for new players.
It's
sadly.
a very difficult game to bring to new players, and I think that's what hurts the game. I mean, look, it's probably doing okay, I assume, but by making it a solo game and giving me a really good, well-designed, easy to operate solo opponent, it brought this thing back. It's Ashes Reborn.
Yeah, it's Ashes Reborn, Reborn, Phoenix,
Exactly.
Reborn.
Ashes Reborn Second Life.
Second Life, like Russian railroads, Estonian railroads. I'm like, okay, are we connecting things? Okay. So my number one is probably something that you should have predicted, I think. But what do you think?
I think it's probably the Abyss expansions.
No, I didn't put Abyss there because I mean, I thought about that, but I always talk about Abyss, so I was like, let's not talk about Abyss. But I mean, like, no. It's with Abyss, I really enjoyed the base game as well. It's just, yeah, sure, it changed, but I mean, I really enjoyed the game before that as well. There's another game, if you think about that. This expansion was quite expensive. It added the campaign game. It added much more symmetry. Yeah, it's Scythe Rise of Fenris. Mm-hmm. So I mean, this is thought to be one of the best expansions out there because it just, it added the campaign. That's one thing. Okay, you can go through campaign if you want to, or you can just, open things up and just, do your stuff. We played the campaign, which is really cool. I like the Scythe campaign because it taught the modules of this expansion gradually, which is really cool. Actually, sometimes I like that. I like when campaigns help you learn the game and play it more, of course, so there you have this kind of a urge to continue and play more of the same stuff, but then, gradually, this is new mechanism, one thing at a time. I like that. Now, Rise of Fenris added new factions, which are really cool. I like the Vesna faction, the one that has this kind of a modular setup thing. Yeah, because I like those upgrades. So, and now there are those starting tokens that help you out to kind of spread out faster from your starting location. There's that Fenris faction, which is very aggressive. It was so annoying, but I mean, it's cool because it's so different. It's very aggressive. It's very aggressive. And many other things like different setups and co-op mode. If you want to play co-op mode, it added so many different modules that you can use that customize the game the way you want. But I would never play without the Fenris expansion, without those starting things though. So because the starting of Scythe is always slow, the Rise of Fenris really speeds up the start of the game, makes it so much easier to go on and to start building your engine. Amazing. Rise of Fenris helped Scythe to overthrow Cyclades and become my number one game.
All right. That's
because it became perfect.
So I enjoy a lot of aspects of Rise of Fenris. I thought the campaign was kind of a ho-hum experience, but I...
Really?
Yeah, well, I did also play it through twice. That might be part of it. But I enjoy the modules that it adds. I enjoy the various features like that, the different victory tracks and sort of the modular one. I like the different the different factions. I liked a lot of the pieces of it. I thought the whole sort of story was just okay, but I enjoyed all of the pieces that get there. And nowadays, if I play Scythe, I would definitely consider adding several of those in. So
yeah, so the campaign mode, the story was fine. I liked it. It was cool. What probably helped me enjoy it more, because I played this Rise of Fenris with new players. They were kind of new to Scythe, so the Scythe already, as it is, has quite a few rules, and then adding the new modules gradually as you go with the new players. For them, it probably was much more fun if I would just instead just added all the things all together. It would be a little bit too much, but I think it's with the group. I think the group of new players really helped enjoy the campaign much more. Yeah. Okay.
Well, there we go.
So this is Skife, Rise of Fenris. Tres pancaques.
Hey, wonderful.
All right, here we go. That's it for today's episode.
That is.
And
it's all over.
It's all over.
I'll go upstairs and play Ashes by myself. Actually, I've got to get to church.
By yourself.
Hey, yeah. I can always find somebody who wants to play with me if I'm playing solo.
You yourself and the mirror? Okay. No.
Yeah. That's a 3-player game.
No, I'm gonna go prepare for the guests are coming early because they're traveling for the next 2 weeks, and I have my birthday tomorrow. I'll be of age of Christ. 33 should be.
You know, he was younger than that before he was 33.
That's a clever thought, but yeah.
Anyway, well, best birthday wishes. Enjoy your time with your friends. The guests are coming early. Sounds like the premise for a Euro game, but.
We're gonna play some. I think I proposed to play Forgotten Waters.
Oh, that'll be fun.
That'll be always fun. Oh, they're fine. Oh, I love Forgotten Waters. Oh, have you heard a game? At the end of the episode, let's throw in the bomb. There is a game that is based on the post-apocalyptic kind of a scenario thing, but it's based on the what's called
Freelancers.
I think so. It's based on the Forgotten Waters mechanisms.
Yeah, it's being produced by Flat Hat Games.
Yes. So I'm like, ooh, I wanted to have Forgotten Waters expansions and something like that, but instead they come up with a new game in kind of that same vibe.
Well, there is a small expansion for Forgotten Waters. It's just one you can download or unlock new scenarios. But
I bought it right away. Yeah, it's just
Freelancers is a new game that's an entirely new game coming later this summer.
Yeah, this is the one I'm buying. No way I'm skipping that. All right. Anyway, that's it.
Well, have a good celebration with your friends and family, and I'll talk to you another time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.